Do you have Crotons? Then you probably have Croton scale. We're going to discuss how to control Croton scale on this edition of the DIY Pest Control Podcast. Welcome to the DIY Pest Control Podcast, where you get the best info for those who want to perform their own pest control. The DIY Pest Control Podcast is brought to you by Nature Pest. Nature Pest has been providing the finest in commercial and residential integrated pest management for structural, lawns, trees, shrubs, and mosquitoes with better control and less contamination at an affordable price. For more info, visit us at naturepest.com. Hey, welcome back to this edition of the DIY Pest Control Podcast. I am Frank Hernandez, certified pest control operator and certified horticultural specialist here at Nature Pest. I've been doing this for about 10 years now, and I really love plants. I love working with plants and working outside. I really do enjoy it. I enjoy making ugly things and ugly landscapes beautiful again. And one of the biggest problems that we find here in South Florida, and I don't know where you're at around the world if you have Crotons, but Croton scale in South Florida is a huge problem, because not only does it attack Croton, but it also attacks about 72 other species of plants here in South Florida. And the problem is that most people can't identify it because it doesn't look like an insect. I mean, we think of an insect that an insect has 6 legs, it has 2 antennae, it has 2 or 3 body parts, and it crawls. And the problem with scale insects, it is nothing like that. It doesn't even look like an insect. As a matter of fact, it looks like it's part of the plant. If you look at the stem of the plant, you will find these little green and yellow looking lumps that are on the plant, and you think it's part of the plant. But if you take your nail or you take your finger and you rub it across, you find this little slimy little thing that falls off the plant and rubs off, and it has a really soft little body, and that's your Croton scale. You're also, when it's heavy, you're going to start seeing it then in the back of the leaf, along all of that vein along the leaf. You're going to find the little tiny white spots that are what the Croton scale. In real heavy infestations, Croton, you will find most people when they will notice it, it's when the infestation is so heavy, because they find this black sooty mold on the plant, and they're wondering what kind of fungus do they have. So they start applying a fungicide. They go and they buy a fungicide, and it doesn't go away. And they're like, my goodness, what is this fungus that we have on this plant? Well, the problem is it's not a fungus. It's sooty mold. It's a mold that is growing on your plants because of the amount of honeydew that is the excretion or the excrement of the scale. So the scale will suck your plant and then basically poop out sugar. And the mold has a food source that it can grow on, is that sugar. Now, if you have plants up against your house and you have shrubs that have a scale problem, and you have the sooty mold and you have the honeydew, then you're also going to have ants. And then you have this overwhelming problem with ants on that part of the house coming into the house, because they have a symbiotic relationship between the scale and the honeydew that they produce, and the ants feed on the honeydew. So now you have a nesting problem with ants on that side of the house. So how do you control it? Well, you can do one of two things. Scale insects belong to the class of family similar to whiteflies, the same class of family as aphids and mealybugs. Thrips are a little bit different, although they have the same effects. But thrips will also lick and damage the foliage by carving it kind of out. But these animals, these insects, have the same characteristics. They suck and they pierce the plant. And what is the best way to control them? Well, you can go with a natural solution. Now, here's a natural solution for you that is not a pesticide, and one of them is dishwashing soap. Now, you got to be careful, because you cannot apply dishwashing soap directly on a plant in high doses. You will burn the plant, especially if it's products like Dawn that have degreasers on them. You want to find a mild dishwashing soap like Ivory, the old dosage of Ivory, not the clear one, but the milky white type of Ivory, will work very well at controlling this type of insect. Here's how. The soap will clog up the insect spiracles. It also breaks down the wax. It also will contaminate the honeydew. It will naturally clean out the plant with the mold. It is the most natural product to use that is still kind of a chemical, but it's not a pesticide. And you have to spray all those leaves in the stem, and you have to do it on a weekly basis in order to control the infestation. What you will notice is after about 4 weeks of doing this, the mold is breaking up, the sooty mold, the honeydew is coming off. It works better than a pesticide, but you have to apply it often. And most people probably don't have the patience or the time to do something like this. But if you like to work in your garden and you want to find a natural solution, this is the best solution. Down here in South Florida, we have public supermarkets, which they're moving into a lot of it. And they have the old formula for Ivory soap, which is that white soap, and it's called Mild and Gentle dishwashing soap. And you can use that as your number one choice of chemical spray to control all three of those problems. So it works really well for that type of problem. Obviously, if you have a big giant tree that has the problem, that's going to be difficult. But these are small shrubs that you have, they're ground level, they're 3 to 4 feet. You buy just one of those pressurized sprayers, and you just come in and you spray underneath the leaf, you spray around the stem, and it won't damage the plant. That is the beautiful thing of it. If you're thinking about using that a more toxic pesticide chemical is going to work better, it's not. And the reasoning is that it's not based on the chemical. It's based on the life cycle of that insect. You have to break that life cycle from the time that they're born to the time they're adults. And by breaking that life cycle and not allowing them to be able to molt into adults, you will control that pest. Whether you use a synthetic or an oil, you can use a horticultural oil. We use products like Essentria. We also use products that are natural, like Ecovia, that you can get. We're going to put a link to those products on the website also, so that you can get those products too and use them. We prefer that as our first option. And if you don't have a high pressure area, once you control that problem, then you maybe want to spray it about once a month with the natural product or the soap, just to keep the pest off. And the key is inspection. Obviously, if you're seeing the pest, once you look under leaf and they're starting out, then you can control it. But if this is too much work for you and you've got a lot of shrubs and you can't do it, then my next option is going to be to go with a root drench with a product like Dominion 2L, which is an imidacloprid. It is a neonicotinoid. There's a whole bunch of problems with neonicotinoids, but most of it is because they're being sprayed. We do not recommend neonicotinoid spraying because you can kill beneficial insects, you can kill bees. Most of the spraying that's being done with these products are in agriculture. Like 99% of the time, it's in agriculture. Very little of this product is being applied to residential and commercial landscapes as a foliar. But I recommend that as a drench, you have to read the label directions. Read the label directions before you use any chemical product. If you don't understand it, you're probably better off not applying it. You have to wear protective equipment. You can't just use it with bare hands. There is limits of what you can put in the soil. In your state, wherever you're listening from, if you're in a state that probably doesn't allow it, then you're not allowed to use it. So again, that's why my first choice for you is that soap, which you can get anywhere. Then the second one is the natural products that you can order through the same online service, or you can use the Dominion 2L. It's going to give you the advantage of Dominion 2L and the imidacloprid in the root drenches. It goes into the soil and it gets picked up by the root system and through the vascular system. And then when the insect is born, the moment they are born, they're going to be sucking and piercing that plant. It's going to kill them at the first instar. That's why it's so effective, because it doesn't allow them to become adults on your plant to be able to kill them. It will last about a year. one treatment. So it does, Crotons do hold that product in very well. A lot of plant species don't, but Croton does. And, about every 9 to 10 months to 12 months, you will have to do the service. So it is more work because you have to apply it to each plant individually at the right dosage. You have to measure the plants, know how many milliliters you're going to apply. You have to mix it in a container and then apply it by hand. So either way, it isn't easy. But if you want nice looking plants, these are the best options that we found that work for our clients and work for us. So guys, I hope you have a happy gardening, that you kept those pests under control. It'll also help control the ant population around your property if you control all those other insects that are having that relationship. So until next time, have a great one. Thank you for listening to the DIY Pest Control Podcast. Please remember that although Franklin Hernandez is a certified and licensed pest control operator in the state of Florida, the content of this podcast is for informational purposes only. You should consult your local and state government or cooperative extension service before performing any pest control service. Remember to always read and follow label directions because the label is the law.